When I first found out, I couldn't believe my ears. The sound of my wife's voice on the phone was unmistakable, filled with warmth, passion, and familiarity. But it wasn't directed at me. She was talking to her colleague, her close friend at work, and the words she spoke revealed everything. I love you, John. I can't wait to leave this life behind with you. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife ever could. Every memory of us together came rushing back. The anniversary trips, the quiet dinners, the promises whispered in bed. I had trusted her, believed in her love, in our life together, but now all of it felt like a lie. I kept it to myself at first. The anger was unbearable, but I wanted to gather proof before confronting her. I listened in on conversations, pieced together their secret rendezvous, and soon discovered that plans had already been set. They were plotting my exit, not just emotionally but legally. She had spoken about how easy it would be to get a divorce, how simple it would be to start fresh with him, free from me. But no one ever expects how far someone can push another person until they've been blindsided. I made a plan of my own, a counterattack that would make her realize the depth of her betrayal. I'd bring this into the light, expose her actions, and ensure that she wouldn't leave without facing the consequences. This wasn't about revenge alone. It was about making her own schemes backfire. I hired a private investigator to gather evidence and documents, cementing her plans as undeniable proof. Every affair comes with lies, but evidence is a language that no one can deny. With this proof in hand, I invited her to dinner under false pretenses. She thought it was going to be a discussion about working things out, but I had other plans. The evening unfolded like a dark, carefully planned stage. As we ate, I pulled out the evidence, setting photos and messages on the table. Her face went pale the moment she saw it. The texts, the receipts from hotels, the timelines of her meetings with John. There was no running, no deflecting. I could see it all in her eyes. The realization that the walls had closed in. "I can't believe this," she whispered, her voice shaking. Her hands trembled as she tried to push the evidence away. "This isn't what it looks like." But it was exactly what it looked like. "No," I interrupted, my voice firm and cold. "You plotted this. You betrayed me. You thought you could walk away quietly, leaving me in shame. But you underestimated me. I knew her schemes went deeper than just ending a marriage. She wanted to rewrite our lives, escape the consequences, and slip into the arms of someone else without a second thought. But I made sure she didn't get that luxury. Within a week, I organized a press conference, presenting the proof of her infidelity, her plans, and the betrayal to the public. I wanted her to face the scrutiny, the humiliation, and the weight of her own actions. The day of the announcement, news outlets, friends, and family gathered as I laid everything bare. Every intimate detail, every text message, every plan they had carefully orchestrated was exposed for all to see. She had no choice but to watch as her personal life crumbled on national television. The way she tried to maintain her composure, only to break in front of cameras, is something I'll never forget. For me, the satisfaction wasn't in the spectacle. It was in knowing that she was confronted with her actions, stripped of power, and forced to face the consequences of her betrayal. The weight lifted from my shoulders was indescribable. I took my power back, not out of malice, but because I refused to let her control my life. The divorce came swiftly after. She tried to fight, but the damage was irreversible. The truth had been shared, and nothing could cover up her lies. As for me, I walked away stronger. The scars would take time to heal, but in every betrayal lies a lesson. Never let someone make you the victim in your own story. Take control. Stand up for yourself. And sometimes, in the face of betrayal, blindside them right back. Life after that was a mixture of relief, heartbreak, and rediscovery. The days felt long as I adjusted to the reality of being alone again, but I was no longer shackled to the weight of betrayal. I focused on rebuilding my life, piece by piece, learning to trust again, even if it would take time. My heart was battered, but it wasn't broken beyond repair. I chose to use this experience as a turning point, a lesson, and an opportunity for growth. I focused on my work, poured energy into friendships, and took time to travel, something I had always put on hold during our marriage. I went places I had only dreamed of, felt the freedom that came from being the captain of my own ship, without anyone's manipulation or secret plans looming over me. But even in the midst of this newfound peace, I still found myself reflecting on how betrayal changes a person. I wondered if she ever felt remorse for what she did, or if she viewed her actions as a calculated move to find happiness with someone new. I tried not to obsess over her choices, but closure is a tricky thing. I wondered if, in some way, she ever missed the life we had shared, or if her new life with John was everything she had imagined. Months passed, and I stayed focused on my path. I saw my friends growing their families, building their own homes, starting their own adventures, and I knew I would get there in my own time. I learned that happiness didn't come from having someone by my side. Happiness came from finding my own path and trusting that my story would continue to unfold, even when the chapters didn't look the way I expected. As the days turned into years, I grew to appreciate the strength I found in being alone. I learned how to set boundaries, how to listen to my intuition, and how to avoid the patterns that could lead me into another cycle of betrayal. The experience taught me that no amount of manipulation or plotting could take away my power unless I let it. I learned that healing is a choice, and I chose to heal on my own terms. I didn't let bitterness consume me. I chose to forgive, not because what happened was acceptable, but because forgiveness was about freeing myself from the pain, not allowing it to dictate my life. I chose to write my own story, one that would be filled with happiness, adventure, and a journey of self-discovery. Every person I met afterward could sense the change within me. I was no longer bitter, nor did I allow my past to define my future. I walked through life with the understanding that love can be painful, but it can also be a tool for growth. The betrayal taught me that even when plans are derailed, even when life takes a turn that we never expected, we always have the ability to take back the wheel. My story was no longer one of victimhood, but of strength. I began teaching others about resilience, about learning to trust themselves after heartbreak, about finding peace through clarity, closure, and taking ownership of their own choices. Perhaps one day, I'll find love again, but this time, it will be on my own terms. It will be built on trust, mutual respect, and understanding. Until then, I will continue to live my life for myself, traveling to new places, taking new opportunities, and writing new chapters. Chapters without lies, manipulation, or secrets. I had been blindsided, but I came out stronger on the other side, and that in itself felt like victory. I kept my promise to myself. Living life for me, I learned to embrace each moment, whether it was quiet solitude, a trip to a new city, or a conversation with an old friend. I explored hiking trails in the mountains, wandered through cobblestone streets in European towns, and tasted food from all over the world. These experiences became more than just distractions. They became affirmations that life is a journey meant to be lived fully, not just endured. During this time, I met new people. Some became friends, others fleeting acquaintances. I learned not to rush into relationships out of fear of loneliness. Love, I discovered, isn't something that should be chased. It's something that arrives when you're open, when you're whole, and when you've learned to enjoy your own company. There were days when I thought back to my ex-wife and wondered if she ever reflected on the decisions she made. I imagined her life, whether she was truly happy with John or if she struggled with the weight of the truth, knowing that everything she had built was on shaky ground. But those thoughts no longer caused pain. They were distant musings, reminders that life moves forward, with or without closure. The hardest part was trusting again. Trust, after betrayal, feels fragile. You wonder if it will ever feel safe to open your heart completely. But I learned that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's strength. Trust isn't about ignoring the possibility of pain. It's about knowing that you're strong enough to handle whatever comes, with or without someone by your side. And then, something beautiful happened. A woman I met on one of my travels showed me the kind of connection I never thought I could experience again. It wasn't overwhelming or suffocating. It wasn't built on expectations or manipulation. It was easy, natural, and grounded in mutual respect. Conversations flowed easily. Laughter came effortlessly, and I felt seen for who I truly was. She didn't try to fix me, and I didn't try to save her. We simply connected. It reminded me that love, when built on honesty, trust, and kindness, could be one of the greatest joys of life. It wasn't an instant romance or whirlwind story. Instead, it was a slow build, a friendship that grew into something more. The healing I had gone through made me patient, self-aware, and deliberate about how I approach relationships. I didn't rush. I didn't force anything. I allowed it to happen naturally, free from fear and baggage. And, surprisingly, that was when I felt the most alive. Our connection taught me that forgiveness isn't just about letting go of anger. It's about giving yourself permission to believe in happiness again. I learned that while betrayal can break trust, it doesn't have to leave you untrusting forever. It can become a reminder that even in the wake of heartbreak, beauty and joy can be found again, sometimes when you least expect it. Today, I stand here, years later, reflecting on how far I've come. That chapter of betrayal feels like it belongs to a different person, a version of myself that has grown, healed, and become something new. The pain is no longer sharp. It has softened into understanding. I no longer see my ex-wife's betrayal as a curse, but as an opportunity to learn, grow, and take ownership of my story. Life is unpredictable, beautiful, messy, and full of challenges. But the most important lesson is this: I am resilient. I can face whatever comes next, knowing that pain, heartbreak, and healing are all part of the journey. I've learned that strength doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from walking through it, piece by piece, and learning to trust yourself at the end of it. The journey isn't over. It will never truly be over. But that's the beauty of life. Every chapter holds new opportunities, new lessons, and new moments of joy. And I intend to live each one to the fullest. I continue down this new path with clarity and purpose. The lessons from my past became my foundation, teaching me to value every moment and every connection without fear or hesitation. I focused on building a life where I could find joy and simplicity in small victories and in genuine relationships. I threw myself into meaningful work, helping others find their own strength in the face of hardship. I became the person I had wished I could have leaned on during my darkest moments, a mentor, a guide, a friend. Whether through community projects, mentoring young professionals, or sharing my story in public talks, I found ways to give back, to use my pain as a source of strength for others. It was healing in itself to see how many people could relate to my journey and how much they could learn from my growth. I also learned to appreciate the quiet moments. Mornings were no longer filled with anxiety, but with peace as I drank my coffee, watched the sun rise over the horizon, and focused on my breathing. I took time to write, to reflect, and to listen to my inner voice. Journaling became a ritual, a safe space to explore my fears, hopes, and dreams without judgment. On weekends, I would escape into nature, hiking up winding paths, fishing by a serene lake, or just walking along the beach with nothing but the sound of the waves. These moments taught me that happiness isn't found in big gestures, but in stillness and simplicity. It was in those quiet moments of connection with the earth, with myself, and with time that I felt the deepest sense of contentment. One evening, while reading a book on the porch of my small cabin in the woods, I received a text from an old friend. They had invited me to a gathering of people, colleagues, friends, and strangers. I hesitated at first, unsure of whether stepping into that kind of environment would pull me back into feelings of vulnerability. But something told me to go. I remembered that life is about opening doors, not building walls. The event was intimate, filled with laughter, shared stories, and honest conversations. As the evening unfolded, I met a woman with an easy smile and an open heart. We talked about the universe, personal journeys, and our favorite books. There was no pressure, no expectations, just conversation. A simple connection built on mutual respect and curiosity. It reminded me that life wasn't about searching for love, but about being open to connection and presence. She became a part of my life in the gentlest way. One conversation at a time, one shared adventure at a time. I learned not to rush things, to savor every moment, and to trust the process of building a connection without forcing it. Together, we created shared memories, walking through parks, cooking dinner, sharing silence under the stars. It wasn't dramatic or overwhelming, but it felt right in every possible way. The experience taught me that happiness isn't about escaping pain. It's about using pain as a lesson and creating new memories, new paths, and new ways to live fully. I'd walk through the worst of heartbreak and come out on the other side. And here, in this moment, I realized that the journey itself was beautiful. Every twist, every fall, every lesson, and every sunrise. Looking back at that dark time, the betrayal, the public confrontation, the heartbreak, I felt nothing but gratitude. Not because the pain didn't happen, but because the pain led me to this life, to this moment, to the peace I now knew. I'd learned that control comes not from avoiding pain, but from embracing the journey, learning from every moment, and trusting yourself enough to move forward even when the path feels uncertain. Life is always evolving, and while I can't predict every twist and turn, I can face them with courage. The worst betrayal taught me to value honesty, kindness, and trust, but it also showed me how powerful freedom and self-discovery could be. Now, every decision feels intentional, every moment feels deliberate, and every connection feels like a gift. I rebuilt my life with love, understanding, and strength, not because I am unbreakable, but because I learned to get up every time I fell. I've grown stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. The journey continues, and that excites me. Life will never be perfect, but perfection isn't the goal. Living fully, learning, forgiving, and loving without hesitation. That's the goal. I am open to what comes next, knowing that I can handle anything as long as I stay true to myself. After all, I've already survived the storm, and the sun feels so much warmer on the other side. With each passing day, I felt more in tune with the person I was becoming. I stopped trying to fit into a mold or a script and started focusing on authenticity. Life felt lighter that way, without the pressure to meet expectations or prove myself to anyone. I had learned that peace comes from knowing that you are enough, just as you are. I continued building new routines, spending mornings journaling my thoughts, meditating, and reading books that challenged my perspective. I made time for laughter and spontaneity, for the things that reminded me of who I was before betrayal and heartbreak came into my life. My weekends were filled with long walks, good food, time with friends, and rediscovery. Things that nurtured my soul and reminded me of life's simple joys. One afternoon, I visited a local art gallery, something I had always enjoyed but never prioritized. As I walked through the dimly lit space, each painting and sculpture felt like a reflection of my journey, abstract, emotional, transformative, and healing. Some pieces reminded me of the chaos of heartbreak, the confusion of betrayal, and the lonely nights. But other works reminded me of growth, renewal, and hope, the way light breaks through even the darkest moments. As I stood before one painting, vibrant in blues and yellows, I felt a wave of emotion. It captured the essence of what I had been through, the pain, the discovery, the healing, and the optimism that followed. It was as if the artist had given form to my thoughts, my journey, and my path forward. I realized that much like art, life is a process of creation and interpretation. Sometimes, things can be messy or unclear, but beauty can always be found, even in unexpected places. That afternoon, I made a commitment to continue creating my life like an artist creates their work, deliberately, thoughtfully, and with courage. I would approach challenges with the mindset that even mistakes or pain could add richness to the story I was writing. Every brushstroke, every choice, every path I walked was a part of that greater canvas. And I vowed not to fear change, but to embrace it as a new part of the masterpiece. My journey had taken me from a place of devastation to this new appreciation for art, love, freedom, and personal growth. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was thriving. Every part of my life felt intentional, from the people I chose to surround myself with to the hobbies I explored and the dreams I pursued. It felt empowering to know that I could choose my next step. Not because I was escaping the past, but because I was excited about the possibilities ahead. And then I found that some dreams don't come from the grandiose or the dramatic, but from the small, consistent choices we make. Perhaps it was time to write a book. A story not just about betrayal, heartbreak, and healing, but about hope, strength, and personal transformation. Sharing my story might help others find their own path through their struggles, just as I found my way. It would be my way of turning my journey into art, a story that would serve as a reminder that even in the face of pain, there's always room for healing. I began writing in the early mornings, pouring my experiences, lessons, and reflections onto the page. Each word felt cathartic, like releasing a weight I hadn't even known I was carrying. I shared stories of my past, but balanced them with optimism, vulnerability, and gratitude. Writing became my therapy and my gift, something I could share with others who might need to hear my journey. The response to my words was humbling. Readers reached out with their own stories of heartbreak, strength, and hope, sharing how much my journey resonated with them. It reminded me that we are all connected in our struggles and triumphs. Everyone has battles to fight, lessons to learn, and dreams to chase. And sometimes, sharing your story gives someone else permission to confront their own journey, to heal, to grow, and to move forward. Through writing, I not only processed my own pain, but connected with countless others. It felt like a full-circle moment, transforming betrayal into growth, pain into strength, and healing into shared purpose. I was no longer a victim of circumstances, but the author of my own story, rewriting my narrative one word at a time. I traveled more, connected with people from different backgrounds, and learned that happiness wasn't about finding the right person or achieving perfection. It was about embracing the uncertainty, the beauty of the journey, and the joy of discovery. I was constantly learning, exploring, and becoming, and that felt like enough. Today, I live without resentment, without bitterness, and without fear. I am open to love, to experiences, to growth, and to every possibility that life holds. I still have bad days like anyone, but I know that bad days don't define me. They are just moments, temporary shadows in the light of a life well lived. And so I keep going, knowing that life will continue to twist, change, and surprise me. I trust myself to face whatever comes, knowing that strength isn't about being unshakable. It's about being resilient enough to get up, dust off, and try again. Every new sunrise reminds me that this journey isn't about arriving at a destination. It's about embracing every moment, every twist, every adventure, and every lesson along the way. I've found that the most powerful moments come when you stop clinging to the idea of perfection or control and instead learn to trust the flow of life. And that's exactly what I intend to do. Trust the journey, live with gratitude, and keep creating my story one chapter at a time.